very much for coming out today. I thought you were fixing the arc there, Brian.
I don't know where he is.
Road?
Yeah, he's here.
I thought he was going to be at a orchard.
Well, these are all called our local tea parties, and as Brian said, the last one of these, they really got a lot of notoriety. 1775. That was taxation without representation.
Social thing to get with.
Today it's about taxes.
Okay, there you go.
Put a big head down there and knock them all out.
Until they ask for it, honey.
We're going to tax corporations. Well, the simple truth, folks, is that businesses and companies do not pay taxes. Only economies pay taxes. And regardless of who you tax in an economy, the cost of these taxes are passed along to guess who? You, the consumer. And if businesses don't do that, they're going to go out of business. So they have to transfer those costs on to you. And that's what's so disingenuous about them and their tax increases, saying they're only targeting the rich and they're only targeting companies. And they think we need to cut all the unnecessary spending and duplicate programs and prioritize our spending where government really should be. We need to. We got several ways. We need to pay our current obligations off, and we do that through prioritization. Pay as you go. Simple concept. You folks do it at home in your home budgets. You do it in your businesses. You want to create more spending? You better have a source of revenue. We don't do that in Springfield. We pass bill after bill after bill every year, increasing the expenditures of the state of Illinois. The last week they look for the revenue. They do it backwards. We should implement a stimulus watch act. $787 billion, folks, that's going out there, whether we liked it or not. Congressman Shimkus voted against that, but it's there. We need a watch group that's watching where that money goes. I introduced a bill in Illinois that said if we're getting a stimulus program of money and we create a new program with it, I say we should vote on that program and then sunset it when the federal money goes away. Guess what? I never even got a hearing on that bill.
Imagine that.
We need a budget, sunshine. And those of you who know me know I'm always fighting for business in Illinois. The 108th district is 9 counties. I have the same 105,000 people that someone in Chicago does, but I have to go to 9 counties because we don't have any jobs. We need to make Illinois a more business-friendly state. We need to revamp our workman's comp. Illinois was 47th in the nation over the last 10 years in job creation. Terrible, 47th.
What Representative Rice had talked about, and that's the role of the federal government. A great man once said, a government powerful enough to provide you with everything is also powerful enough to take everything away. This man was Thomas Jefferson, one of our founding fathers. He knew that government should not go places where it was never meant to be. He knew that you don't let a good crisis go to waste, though. I mean, like some people want to talk about. But there's people that have taken advantage of our founding principles in the Constitution. They take the banks, and they take your tax money, and they invest in it, in a private enterprise. Congress does have the right to regulate business. It does not have the right to own. Is national health care. Now we have a health care crisis in this country. It's expensive. The federal government hasn't run it very well. I mean, we've seen how well they run Social Security and Medicare.
End of the
But
ground.
to socialize is not the way to go. Someone once said, socialism is fine until you run out of other people's money. It really is. But how much better of a program is it? I have a friend who's a truck driver, and he lives in Canada. And they have socialized health care up there. He told me a couple months ago that he needs his knee replaced. And it's going to be 6 months before he can even see a specialist.
He's lucky.
And you realize it's going to be
He's lucky up there. It
years
can only take 6
before
months.
he can even have that surgery. Is that what you want? Your life will be a cost-benefit analysis by some bureaucrat up in Washington or Springfield telling you whether you can get treatment or not. So basically, if you're 75 and you've got prostate cancer and you you got a guy that's 55 with prostate cancer. Who do you think is going to get the treatment? You laugh, but in England it happens. Those with late stage breast cancer can't get treatment because it's not cost productive to the taxpayer in England. That's not the way to go. That's not the way to go. And they're going to fund that with your tax money, put you further and further and
Or
further.
go move somewhere else where you can get the treatment.
You realize the more you are taxed, the harder you have to work. You realize April 13th, did anybody hear that was Tax Freedom Day? You realize from the beginning of the year to April 13th, you worked for the federal government. As of Monday, you now work for yourself.
Now you work for Illinois.
But you realize if the budget's passed and all the programs passed that they want to do, you'll have to work next year till May 29th before you start working for yourself. That's not the way to go. They want to raise taxes on our businesses. Governor Quinn wants to raise business tax to 7.2%, up from 4.5%. Now, what we really need to do is we need to lower business taxes because that creates jobs. I point to the case of Ireland. They have a 12.5% business tax, which they lowered. And when the times were good, they ended up creating 700,000 new jobs. Why can't we do that here? Because every new taxpayer, every new job we create is a new taxpayer. We also need to cut the taxes for the people. The people know how to better spend their money than the politicians that control Springfield, that control Washington, and especially the politicians that control the northeast part of the state. You know, we had a president one time that raised taxes. 1932. He raised taxes on everybody, and it caused a depression. And then we had another president who they put up on a pedestal as being great, grand, wonderful. But when you expand government spending, you prolong suffering. FDR brought his New Deal, 1933, 1934. Do you realize by the time we started World War II, we still had 19% unemployment? Didn't solve much now, did it? But the government went to places it was never meant to be. 3, the government needs to stop spending money that they do not have.
Amen.
We cannot continue to put ourselves further and further in debt. Do you realize from the time of George Washington, the time of George W. Bush, that in the next, not even 100 days, they've spent more money than all those years of our country being alive?
Yes, sir.
How are we going to pay that off? Oh, and by the way, China buys our debt. They now own 80% of our debt.
Yep.
So what happens when they don't want to buy it anymore? So what's the result of when our debt becomes due? And it's going to be coming due here pretty soon. We're going to look at higher interest rates. Does anybody remember the 20% interest rates in 1980? In that era? We're heading there. We're heading there. Do you remember the higher interest? Do you remember the higher inflation? Double-digit inflation in 1980. Right now our inflation is at 0.2, but you can't tell the Treasury to print trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars and not expect to pay for it somewhere down the line. 4th, we need to eliminate the death tax.
Please.
Each and every one of you work hard for what you have. Your home, your car, your savings. Why is it that you cannot pass that on to your children? No, the government's going to take 45% of that. Did the government help you work? Did the government help you mow your lawn? Did the government help you save away and save for today so you can live tomorrow like you want to live? No, they didn't. And 5th, we need to stop card check. This is probably the easiest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Card check is probably the single greatest threat to our business outside of the raising the taxes. If you want to join a union, that's fine. If you don't want to join a union, that's fine. We're not here to debate that today. But one thing that is in card check that is fundamental to our democracy is the right of the secret ballot. We go to the ballot and no one knows what we voted unless we want to tell them. But not under card check. There's going to be intimidation. There's going to be job loss.